bunch of vulgar things real quick. Fuck.
That was a bunch?
The moon landing was a lie. The government is run by lizard people.
Hello and welcome to episode 81 of the GameBrew Podcast, the bi-weekly video game podcast where we sip delicious beers, discuss video games, and sometimes we make friends. Yay, friends! I am your host, Ian Doc Hudson Richard, and I'm joined by Dan Chick Hicks Ratz.
Ka-chigga.
Chris Fillmore Wrights.
How about some organic fuel, man?
That's good. Allison Sally Carrera Vandevender.
Do you want to stay at the Cozy Cone or what?
And Will Mater Shell.
I couldn't fix your brakes, so I just made your horn louder.
Oh my god. That was so loud.
Today we will be talking with SAMMIT, a.k.a. Lightning McQueen, about Warzone.
Ka-chow. I don't know if that was good, but...
That was perfect. That was great.
Perfect.
And checking in on the new console quote-unquote gameplay video, quote-unquote, and specs. But first, it's time for a beer. Chris, what are you drinking this week?
I'm drinking some Southern Tier live session pale ale. So I used to really like Southern Tier beers, and I haven't had them for a little bit. And I used to really like them, but this IPA pack is just kind of like, I don't know, hasn't hit the mark for me for whatever reason.
That's too bad.
It is too bad.
And SAMMIT, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
No problem.
Welcome.
What are you imbibing over there on this fine evening?
This is quite embarrassing, but it was the only thing I could find in the back nether regions of the fridge.
It's quarantine. We're all there.
It's quarantine. It's a Smirnoff Ice raspberry.
Yes!
Raspberry.
Do you often buy those?
Does it just taste like Kool-Aid?
Yeah, it literally tastes like Kool-Aid.
I appreciate that you're color coordinating with your Lightning McQueen character. That's good.
It's totally on purpose. We had this fully planned.
Dan, what are you drinking?
I'm drinking a bottle of Curio ale. Curio? Allagash? Curio?
Sure.
Okay.
Are you making things up?
Is it
No,
Curio?
big words.
Does it start with a C?
C.
Oh,
No, it's
I see.
French for curio.
Curiux. That's clearly an X at the end.
Yeah, it does have an X at the end. I'm sorry. So Curiux. It's an ale aged in oak bourbon barrels, and it was bottled on January, February, March 16th, 2017. So we're gonna see how that goes.
An
It's very
ancient ale,
aged.
then. Yes, there you go.
It smells fine.
Nice.
Thank you. That's a beer pun, ladies and gentlemen.
I liked it. I'm here for it.
It was fine. It's an 11% beer, also. So I'm gonna get fun in the second half.
Hooray, fun Dan in the second half. Will, what are you drinking?
I am drinking Kinru Blue, which is a Belgian wheat ale.
Okay.
It's pretty good. It's from Aldi, so it's like an Aldi brand knockoff of some other Belgian wheat ale.
Are you talking about
It's
Blue
really
Moon?
good.
He's talking about Blue Moon.
I don't know, like any moon. It doesn't have to be blue.
The
moon.
labeling is Screaming Blue Moon, though.
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
now it
yeah.
doesn't. Now that you spun it.
I mean-
Never mind. Less so.
But it's good. I would actually, that's a fair comparison to compare it to Blue Moon. Blue Moon definitely has better flavor, in my opinion, but it's not a bad beer. If you like Belgians, wheats,
Is
ales.
is this Belgian sort of an attempt to dig yourself out of the what were you drinking? Bud Light Platinum hole that you dug yourself into a few weeks back?
The only reason I'm not drinking Bud Light Platinum tonight is because I had to hurry home from Lowe's to make it to the podcast.
Oh,
I would be swimming. Get me some arm floaties and a pool of Bud Light Platinum. I'm good.
You're gross. And Allison, what do you got in your cup tonight?
I have sangria.
Sangria. I have never understood. Oh boy. I've never understood why fruit belongs in wine. It doesn't make sense to me.
Wine is already fruit.
Wine is
It's
fruit. Yeah.
already fruit.
Yeah, you're just amping your fruitness.
Yeah, there's more fruit.
It's just
Look,
You
it's
squaring it.
It is literally. I know what Sam's drinking is a keynote of Kool-Aid, but what I have is literally adult Kool-Aid, and I'm fine with that. So come at me.
Okay.
I don't care.
I mean, I was drinking White Claws like they were water for the past couple weeks, so there's no shame.
Well, they are kind of water.
They are similar too. They're the same color. Okay, so we have been playing some video games. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Been known to.
We do that here.
the first thing
That's
we
the
do on
thing.
this show, usually, Sam, is just check in about what we've been playing. So what have you been playing the past couple weeks?
Non-stop Warzone.
Non-stop Warzone.
Non-stop.
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 That's all I play.
Ooh.
Like, if my friends are like, oh, let's play some multiplayer for a little bit, I'm like, I'm out of that party. I'm playing solo.
Okay.
I'm lone wolfing it.
So we're going to dig into Warzone later. So keep that in back of brain. I've been playing Octopath Traveler, which has been wonderful.
Ooh. What platform?
On Switch, I believe it's also coming to PC, or perhaps it already came to PC. I don't remember.
It's already there, I believe.
It's a good game. It's not a great game. It's a good game. I wish that the narrative weren't so chopped up because you have to kind of rotate through the characters' narratives, and they never come together. So it's just like you're getting little
they don't?
slices of. No, it's weird. It's weird.
Ugh.
So with that, for people like me who are like super story driven, is that like a deterrent for people like us?
I feel like it's actually a good quarantine game because if you can sit down and consume the whole thing in a couple of really big sittings, it might stick together better than it has for me. So, and I also got a little bit addicted to the crew, which is weird for me.
It's so good.
I'm glad
It's
you guys
so
liked
fun.
playing that.
Yeah.
It was-
I mean, it's so average, but it's a good average.
I'm
It's
very
like-
average.
It's
but
the dad bod of video games.
Yes.
It is. It definitely is. It's like a mile wide and a foot deep. But like, if you just want to cruise around and do that, it's kind of fun.
So
Yeah.
to kind of let you know, we did a little stream, Sam, and the guys played the crew driving Ian across country from Virginia to California to take him home. And we did like car games like Mad Libs and like stuff all along the way. Anyway, it was really fun. It was just goofy.
Yeah, so canonically, Ian is back in California
Canonically.
right now.
Yeah.
Physically.
I'm there.
He may not physically be there, but canonically, that's where he is.
All right.
Metaphysics.
Speaking of the crew, Chris, what have you been playing this week?
What a great transition. First of all.
I don't know about that.
So yeah, I've been playing the crew. I've also started to dig a little deeper into Divinity Original Sin 2. And I talked about this a little bit. I think I gave it to Ian for our Christmas thing, and I really enjoyed it back then when we were playing it together. But it's the best, most D&D experience I've had not playing D&D. So it gives you a ton of options on ways to approach things. All of the environment is like, if there's water on the ground, you can do a shot, like a electricity spell into it, and it makes all of that water like
Okay.
light up basically. And so like all of that stuff is all around the battlefield all the time when you're doing fights, and there's all these decisions you have to make. It just, I don't know, it does a really good job at that, and I've really been enjoying that. That being said, it is long as shit. I've only finished the first act, and it's taken me 20 hours.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Did you play the first one?
I played some of the first one.
Okay. And disconnected? Don't need to play the first one?
Yeah, they're not really connected. You don't need to
that's what I
play the
thought.
first one to play the second one. It's all the same world, but it's not a connected story, really.
Chris, did you ever play Pillars of Eternity?
I put about 20 hours into that one, too. That one was kind of the similar feel.
Yeah.
I think this does a better job of kind of the branching openness of D&D. So, like, I mean, that doesn't make Pillars of Eternity bad. It just makes it different. But they're both very good.
Yeah, more structured for sure. Allison.
Hi. So I played a lot of things. I'm pretty sure I'm missing some stuff from my list, but it's fine. I've been sick, very sick. So I have
But
been.
you're better now.
Yeah, I'm much better than I was. I'm almost completely over it. But I've been playing a lot of things on Switch and tablet because I can do it from bed when I wasn't feeling well. So I did a lot of Animal Crossing. And I actually rolled credits on that, but we haven't decided if we're counting that as a game.
I'm for it because I also rolled
for
credits
it.
on Animal Crossing.
Are you for it just because of that? Or?
No,
Yeah,
but because
of
it's
course,
like, so you finish like the main quest in it, which is to get KK Slider to come to your island, and then you can keep playing and make things better.
And roll the credits every time and get points every time. I'm fully for this. I also finished The Mists of Ravenwood and the second part of that, The Redeemed Memories, because I did a lot of like the hunt and find games. That one was actually really good. And I did the one that came before it, which was The Ghosts of Maple Creek, I think.
Nice.
And whatever the second thing that was, it was like Ghosts of the Past, maybe.
Nice.
And then I also finished A Case of Distrust on my Switch.
You're gonna
You've
have
been busy.
I told you.
How many of those found item games are games that you could actually use the screen to tap on the Switch? Because I feel like that's a thing they don't use enough.
It didn't work that way. I had to move it was a mouse on a computer. I think that's kind of the downfall of those games. I played The Ghost of Maple Creek on my tablet though, and I could tap that, and that felt more satisfying. Also, The Ghost of Maple Creek just in general felt better than The Mists of Ravenwood did for me. Which is the second game in that, and yeah, that was much easier, I guess is the way to put it. I didn't feel challenged at all. So that's all of mine. Is that everybody?
No. Dan, I'm actually really curious about the first game on your list here because it got great reviews, but it's like a video game mashup, and I'm
It is, and it's just like from Glee.
Yes.
But it's a great mashup. I streamed it a little bit on
game?
Gears Tactics. I'm so sorry.
Oh,
Gears Tactics, which is basically like if you took XCOM in one hand and you took the Gears of War games in one hand, and then you just make them kiss. You go
Now
fight,
kiss.
fight, kiss. And then they actually work really well together because
it's a tactical shooter.
Yeah, it's a tactical shooter, so it just makes it even more tactical. It has some really cool things it does, like there's there's normal, like you have a certain amount of action points you can use for your 4 characters that you pick. They can all have different classes. They all have chainsaw stuff that you can do, so it's still pretty gory, just like
Do they
Gears
do
of War
that?
games.
That's like the cinematic, like where they
Well,
Yep,
I think
cinematic
close up,
kills.
I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, that's actually one of the big gameplay mechanics for that game, right? Where like
It was.
if you melee someone to death, you get an action point back and then can use it on other stuff.
Yes, there's one of Chris's favorite things. There's some skill trees that you can upgrade that give you like if you chainsaw someone, you get an action point back, not for yourself but for someone else. Or you can. There's also a cover fire mechanic where it's like instead of doing the rest of your actions, you can just cover an open area, and if any enemies go into that area, you use those actions to fire at them instead of using the rest of yours, which is. It's pretty neat. It's very tactical. It's hard. Like it's definitely an XCOM-y game where if you don't think about it, you can lose very quickly.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The other question I wanted to ask is I think one of the great things about the Gears games is all of the different enemy types, like the locusts and all the different kinds, subgenres thereof. Like there's just a great, like for lack of a better term, rogues gallery for the Gears games, and I feel like that would translate really well to an XCOM type.
Yeah, so far, I mean, it's pretty good. I've only had like locust type enemies so far, but there's like the snipers, there's shotgun guys, which are brutal if they get really close. There's regular locusts. There's what are the little guys? Whatever the little guys are that run up and slash at you.
So
I know what you're talking
I think
about.
they're called little slashy boys.
Little slashy boys that come up and they wreck your shit. It's great.
Will, what have you been up to?
Other than remodeling the kitchen, and actually because I've been remodeling the kitchen, I can't like get down to the den because I was out of commission for down here for several days from putting tile in and grout work and whatnot. So I've had my Switch up there, and every night after literally like 12 hours of labor, I take a bubble bath.
And you play Animal Crossing.
Do you actually take a bubble bath?
With a beer. It's an Epsom salt bath. It helps my sore legs.
Oh, wow.
It also smells
And
fantastic.
don't you judge me.
He's got a
I
toy
was
boat.
drinking
He's
White
fine.
Claws at the time.
So
I
on your
had
60th,
White Claws while I was in
How
there.
was your 60th birthday?
So it was fine.
Hey.
Dude, I don't care. I had White Claws, and you can do what you
There's
want.
no law.
That's true. There are no
No
laws.
laws.
And then I go to the bedroom and I get comfy in my PJs and I fire up the Switch and I'm playing through Final Fantasy IX. And so far doing that, just like 20, 30 minutes a night, I am about 5.5, 6 hours into Final Fantasy IX.
Final Fantasy IX had some of the best music of that series.
Yes, it
Hey.
did.
Fun fact, Final Fantasy IX is part of Game Pass.
Wow. There it is.
So,
It's super enjoyable. It's one that when I tried to play it as a kid, it didn't stick with me and it turned me off for some reason. But this time through, it's a really well done game. And in a lot of ways outshines Final Fantasy VII, in my opinion.
Ugh, I can't. I don't have time to address that, so I'm just gonna
Yeah.
hard cut to
That's
the
like a
first
whole.
section.
We'll have a whole nother segment for that.
We'll come back to that.
So first thing, I wanted to come to SAMMIT and say welcome once again. And so tell us what it is that you do on YouTube and how you came to know our wonderful Allison.
Those are separate things, but
Yes.
Yeah. That,
but lump them together as close as you can.
okay.
No, it's
Weave
not.
a story.
So, my YouTube channel is based around, I guess, me living in Japan and heavily involved in cars, mainly Japanese cars and the drifting scene. You know, like Tokyo Drift, that kind of lifestyle.
Cool.
And I guess like the journey that I try to, you know, tell my audience is that they're on is watching me get to the like full competition, like pro level, which is pretty much the best place to be for that is Japan. And yeah, pretty much we do everything from building cars from the ground up to, you know, going to a track, drifting them and having a lot of fun. And yeah, I don't know. I don't really know how else to explain it. But yeah, Allison, I met her, I don't know, a long time ago, at
Very
least
long
10
time
years
ago.
ago now.
oh,
Yeah, it was a long
yeah,
time ago.
yeah. I think it was like 12 years ago. I think.
Was it Halo or Call of Duty? I can't remember.
Call of Duty?
Call of Duty, yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah.
I met you while you played with your girl at the time.
Yeah, my girl at the time.
I played with her, and then she brought you in, and that's how I met
Yep.
you. And then, you know, we stayed friends. So
Okay, so I have questions. To me, like from the outside in, it seems like the drifting community in Japan is like everyone in it is really cool, right? Like everyone's like got style and like flash. But are there cool kids and like not cool kids? Like are there cliques? Is it like middle school?
No, totally. It's actually it's very easy to like get caught up or get like drawn into drama. Like there's drama everywhere in the scene, just like at school. Like there's cliques everywhere. There's the guys that think that what they're doing is the coolest thing ever, and they're the ones breaking the law, drifting on the streets of Tokyo, running from the police, all that kind of stuff. And then there's the guys that are like pro legit track only. Like it's there's a lot of drama associated with it for sure.
There's a lot of drama. And do you swim in the drama, or are you above the drama?
You have to navigate it for sure, and you definitely need to like get good at that. Trying to aim for pro status is definitely like you got to stay away from the street stuff, but that doesn't mean like, you know, like I don't like it. You know, like we all started somewhere. Everyone loves going up the mountains and, you know, kicking it sideways every now and then. It's just whether or not you promote that or, you know, show it.
Got it.
So what you're saying is you're one of the cool kids?
I would. Well, you got to understand. Everyone in Japan calls me the gaijin, which means foreigner, right?
Sure.
It's like Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift. I'm just like,
Yeah, it really is because like my first competition that I ever won, I was introduced as the good-looking foreigner. Like that's what the commentators introduced me as.
wow.
And then they officially named me like the Japanese like term translated to like I know how to flick my car, like good flicking, and like it was just super awkward because then the DK, which is Kechi Tsuchiya, he's like the pretty much. I don't know if you ever watched Fast and Furious, but he was that guy sitting at the docks who was then
Really?
like Yeah, with
was
the
like a- he
fishermen,
was like-
the little fisher guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's him. That's
it
him.
was shaking.
Yeah, so
That's really cool.
he was like the guy that kind of put drifting on the map, and this is his competition, and he's the one who comes up to me and hands me this trophy and stuff, right? And it was just super embarrassing, like, you know, just to be known as that. And then ever since then, now that's like whenever I go to a competition or an announcer or anyone says they call me like good-looking foreigner.
That's awesome.
There are worse
I mean, it could be
things to be
worse.
called. Yeah.
It could be-
Yeah,
a lot worse.
We're going back to redo the intro. We're calling you the good-looking.
How did you get into drifting cars? I mean, it's not, to my knowledge, isn't very big in the States.
Well, he's not from the
Whoa.
He's not from
I
the
mean, I
States.
could be wrong. I could be completely wrong.
You are very wrong, my friend.
I guess I'm just not in the scene at all, so I don't know.
Yeah. If you're not in the scene, definitely you don't see it. If you're not looking out for it, you won't see it. But drifting is huge in the US, especially in Texas. Texas is like
Okay, that makes sense to me.
massive. Yeah. There's a guy called there, like Aaron Lucy, who runs Lone Star Drift, and that's probably the biggest, like, kind of well-known drift series that I know of in Australia, other than in the US, other than like Formula Drift, which is now pretty much, I would say, almost number one competition in the whole of the world when it comes to drifting, other than Japan's D1 series, and that all started in the US.
That's cool.
But yeah, no, like it's definitely insane. Like yeah, unless you're looking for it, you probably won't see it.
Yeah. And how'd you kind of get into it?
Oh, how'd I got into it? Yeah, you're right. I would say probably one of the biggest influence was like the Fast and Furious movie, in all honesty.
Nice.
Like that's what piqued my interest in it,
I love
because
that.
I was always into cars going fast and stuff like that. But when I saw that movie and how people were in control when their car typically looked like it wasn't, it was just like this kind of interesting thing that I was like, I wonder if that's doable. But at the time I had a front wheel drive car, so I went straight to Hungry Jack's and got the trays and slapped that under the rear wheel, lifted the e-brake and slid down the street for about all but 30 seconds before I was like, yeah, I'm done with that.
Yeah, I can't do
But yeah, I think we've all done stuff like that. And then eventually, like, I just got a rear wheel drive car and tried it out, and then I never actually really started till I came to Japan. Like, so I was always interested in it. And then when I came here, I met this old, well, he'll probably get offended if he ever hears this, but I met this old guy who is very big in the drift scene. And I told him I was interested in it. He literally threw me an offer to teach me. And then I got a Skyline in a car and things like that. And then he just took me completely under his wing.
Oh, wow.
And then
amazing.
ever since then, I started, competing and doing everything like that. So it's a long-winded story. I'm sorry, I tried to compact
No,
it.
that's
You
super
don't
cool.
compact
No,
it
it's-
at all. That's
It sounds like the script for a movie.
Yeah. Well, and that's what editing is.
We could
for,
call it
so we'll
Fast and
just-
Furious Tokyo Drift.
well, that'd be perfect. Let's call him. I'm gonna get Vin Diesel on the phone. Hold on.
No, I'm the only bald man that can star in this story. Damn.
Oh, you're right. Sorry.
So that's amazing. But the reason that we brought you on the show was not to talk about drifting. As cool as that fucking is.
Unfortunately,
That's fucking
yeah.
cool. We brought
I
you
mean,
on.
I mean, we could.
I mean, we could. I want to talk about that like video he posted about the junkyard, the '90s car junkyard that you found in Japan.
Oh, yeah, that place is a gold mine.
That thing, like not knowing anything about cars, like I know absolutely nothing about cars, but listening to you walk through there and just your reactions to the cars that you were finding was my favorite thing to watch. Like even it was like what 30-ish minutes of just cool stuff that you found.
Is it me walking through the Bring Your Own Computer at MagFest?
Yes.
Basically, yes.
Yes, we could have recorded you doing that, Chris, and it was what Sam was doing. That's exactly it.
Yeah, I think I called it in the video like a candy store for a grown-ass man. You know,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
pretty much it was that for me, and it was just mind-blowing. Also depressing at the same time, watching them all rot away.
Oh yeah, that was pretty sad, but
You can't
still cool.
save them all. But anyway, the reason that we brought you on the show was to talk about Warzone, because you've also been streaming a little bit of that as well.
Yeah, so, God, Warzone, I feel like a lot of people are going to probably hate me for this, but I feel like Call of Duty dropped off the map for me entirely the moment Infinity Ward stopped making their games. You know, like around the time
Well, me
Black Ops
too.
came.
Yeah.
It's like the first
Okay.
Black Ops?
I never
first Black
enjoyed
Ops
Black
was
Ops. Yeah, like I just could never get behind it. Like I felt like
feel
the
you. little bit.
The mechanics of the game were so different. Like the way the hit markers would work, like everything about it just didn't feel like Call of Duty for me. So like, and a big Modern Warfare 2 guy. Like I was hugely into Modern Warfare 1, and then when Modern Warfare 2 came out, that was just like Allison can.
Yeah, we played a little of that game. It wasn't an every single night thing or something for me. It was,
Sure.
It was bad. Okay. I did not sleep, I feel like, back then when that game was out, because he was in Australia, so his time zone was completely flipped from mine. So it would be like really late at night for me that he was playing. And so I would like get off work and then we'd play until like wee hours, and then I'd get a little nap in, and then I'd go to work, and we'd like just do that all the time. So
that's I swear we did that nonstop.
Yeah,
for the longest time.
It was intense. We were decent though. I'll say that. We did well.
Search and Destroy. We did real well.
We cleaned up.
Hardcore only. We
Yeah.
didn't play any of that.
Yeah.
That other stuff.
No kids games.
You know, you said that in the Discord, and I immediately went back into Modern Warfare and was like, you know what, I'm gonna play some hardcore. I kind of miss playing that. Oh yeah, and it's the same thrill where it's just like you're just worried the whole time, but also
I couldn't take it. It's too much stress.
But right now the sort of flavor of the week is the Warzone mode. Yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like the feeling that I used to get from those games that we used to play, like Allison, you know, like that feeling of like always stressed out, not knowing if an enemy was behind you, but also trying to survive in those search and destroy hardcore matches. You get that feeling the entire time in Warzone,
right?
And it's brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Maybe I have to get it.
Yeah.
I haven't played a Call of Duty since
it's free.
Since
it's
Black Ops 1.
Allison, I think you and I are the only ones who don't have Warzone right now.
I know.
It's literally free.
I'll have to do it. I'll do it. Okay.
What do you think it is that creates that sense of tension in Warzone in particular? I mean, I have my own ideas. I've been playing a fair bit of it, but I'm curious to hear what you think.
Honestly, I haven't really like thought that much into it. I've just been so absorbed by like gameplay itself, and I just feel like it's brought back everything that Modern Warfare 2 was for me, and that memory that I had with all my friends, because I can jump in there with a team, like communicate and just like from all different angles, and it's just the way that they also have the actual Warzone map set up. Like there's actually maps that you used to play in World War II,
right?
Like built into the Warzone like landscape. It's insane, like shipping yard and stuff. Like you can be running around in there, and a team drop down on you, and like it's just so cool. Knowing like it's weird because it's like this blend of nostalgia mixed in with all the adrenaline and the hype. It's, I don't know, I really feel like Call of Duty multiplayer was cool in this one, and I was like, yo, this feels great. It's like they've brought back the same mechanics that was in Modern Warfare. But then when they dropped Warzone, it was just a whole nother like level. I feel like that really saved the game.
Yeah. One of the things that really struck me about it was the audio, actually, and how much of a difference the audio makes in that game, and being able to listen and hear, and just the like quality of it. But I also have had problems where like things seem to come from one place, but they're actually coming from another. Like it sounds great, but it's not located very accurately.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. Like, I think we all know, like, coming from Battle Royale games, I don't know if any of you guys played PUBG initially. But like, it seems like a lot of games these days, especially in this genre, get dropped a little bit before they're finally polished.
Right.
Right? That's pretty common now, right? Which I'm fine with, because as you are gaming with it, you feel like you're kind of like evolving with the developers as well. So I kind of do like that kind of roughness at the start. It feels kind of nice, like you're part of the journey in a sense. But that aside, like, that's definitely something that I think they addressed. I think in the latest update, they fixed a bunch of those audio issues where like you would hear things and you thought they were like right behind you, and you'd turn around and then you'd see the red mark on your map like a kilometer away.
Right.
And you're like, oh. But yeah, like they're still sorting out a bunch of those audio issues and stuff. But yeah, like just footprinting, like hearing people around you, if you've got a good headset, like I don't know if you guys still use Turtle Beaches and stuff, but you can tell when someone's about to come around that corner, and you've just been camping there the whole time, and you light them up with your team, you know, like
your heart just starts beating really fast. You're like, oh, they're coming.
Yeah. And then they drop in. The other half of the team drops around behind you, and you get wrecked.
Yeah,
like,
totally.
It's like you try to predict it, but you also have to keep in the back of your mind you can't predict it. because like all the different like perks and things you can get and unlock in Warzone with the airstrikes and the cluster strikes, and it's just so you never know what's coming next. I think that's what I love about it the most. This is probably the most I've talked about the game since actually just playing it. So I'm trying to figure myself out right now.
Did you play many of the other battle royales other than this, or was this the one that just kind of captured you?
I played a ton of PUBG. I did try what was that other one called?
Fortnite.
Fortnite, yeah.
Apex Legends.
Yeah, I tried Fortnite and I felt like it was super dangerous because like the whole building thing. I was like,
Yeah,
ooh, I could really get behind this, and then I'll never see the light of day.
Yep.
Yeah, that's definitely where the skill comes in Fortnite,
But
for sure.
I know for me, like with Warzone, it kind of, I don't know, it has a little bit more of the traditional shooter like Call of Duty feel mixed in the right way with the battle royale formula. Do you think that's what's kind of drawing you to it, or yeah?
Yeah, I think that's definitely an aspect of it. It was like all of a sudden Call of Duty was awesome, and it just got better. That's literally what it felt.
And I think that's interesting because Call of Duty 4 or Black Ops 4 had Blackout, which was essentially the same thing, but it did more of a pub. It didn't really do the Call of Duty thing. It was more like Call of Duty pretending to be PUBG.
Yeah,
It
it felt like there were.
Yeah,
It polished what PUBG did, and then this is something
it's
different
different
off of that,
and it's new.
I would say like the one that more so felt like Apex. In all honesty, I didn't think it felt like PUBG. It was more of like an Apex vibe to me, but like that was still better than PUBG in my opinion for the little bit that I played.
Really?
Yeah.
I would disagree with you on that, but that's just sorry.
I didn't like PUBG either. I don't know. I couldn't get into it.
I think it was because it was the OG one. I have nostalgia for it. So
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I just want it.
One of the big innovations and the big differences between PUBG and Apex and Warzone is that Warzone is getting updates so often. Like something big will drop in Warzone multiple times a week, and at times it's been even like hard to keep up with it. Do you feel like those changes have been positive? Like, what do you feel about the ongoing support for the game post-launch?
I think like the updates, it's good, having updates so regularly, but it's also frustrating as a player because all of a sudden you're like, oh, this is new. Why didn't I know about that? Like just. And the other frustrating thing is my game folder is nearly at 200 gig. Like
it's huge. It's way too big.
That's my biggest
It does not
frustration
need
with
to be
games.
that big. That's what she said.
The only thing I can think is that they're making you download the entire game.
Yeah. Which would make sense because there's so much going on in Warzone. I think just looking at it common sense wise, there's a lot that it's got to pull off your hard drive during the mid game so that you're not getting that lag experience.
Well, I was saying like the single player game, the paid multiplayer game.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it probably has the entire game and just has portions of it locked.
It just might have all of the assets
because all of the assets are probably used in all sections.
It's huge.
Well,
It's massive.
Silly.
I think like more to the point with the updates, some of them, it's interesting to watch them roll out a new update. Like they did an update where they added 4s and then they took away 3s at the same time. So groups of 4 and groups of 3. And then they added 3s back in later, which I thought was a really interesting move because people got kind of upset about it. Do you feel like Infinity Ward is like reacting too quick or like sort of caving to the Call of Duty community too much? Or is it healthy for them to update so frequently and so like they update against themselves?
I think it's healthy what they're doing because I feel like they haven't really been in the spotlight like this in a long time, and they don't want to screw it up.
Yeah.
So I think they're kind of like, they're trying to do right by everyone, but then if everyone all arcs up and complains, they like quickly go back. Like there's definitely like I'm really excited for doubles in Warzone. I think that's really cool, and I like how they changed the single player aspect of Warzone and took away the gulag for it. So I think that's kind of cool.
That was pretty neat. I really enjoy that kind of game type because it was interesting just to be like, oh, I could not only have like 2 lives, I have like 4 if I'm good enough.
Yeah, like previously I was happy if I if I got taken out, like in those lone wolf games initially, it was pretty stressful.
Yeah.
I think I'd average like 4 kills if I didn't do too great. But now, like if I don't do too great, I'll average like 12 kills because so many people just keep coming back because of the money.
Right.
So it's like good to get your KD up.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the thing too, is like updates when it comes to multiplayer games. If they don't listen to the community, they're going to have problems. So I don't think it's bad on them to like try things and then react if it goes poorly, and then try something else and like listen to the community for a multiplayer game. I think that's better.
Yeah,
honestly, it's worked for Epic, like with Fortnite. They've yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Chris. Sorry.
That's what I was going to say.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. But I mean, there was the thing that they had where I know this is regular multiplayer, but they had something where you could akimbo magnums and use the snake shot.
Yeah.
And like everyone was pissed off about this because it was just like there were people just be running around just going blah 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 blah, and they'd be winning matches with literally no skill.
One of the other kind of controversial things, controversial in quotes, things about the game is the default on crossplay. Do you play crossplay or do you turn it off? Because I know you're an Xbox platform pretty primarily.
I actually moved to PC. Yeah. Look, I love my Xboxes. I have a lot of history with the Xbox. Like I used to, I don't know if you guys remember this, but specifically around the Modern Warfare 2 days, do you remember all the like 10th Prestige lobby stuff, like all that kind of Xbox 360, Xbox Live hacking days?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Those days. So I was heavily involved in the modification, repairing of Red Ring of Death, and like J-tagging all these Xboxes and all that kind of reset glitch stuff.
Wow.
It was honestly insane because I didn't have a job at that moment, so I just kind of was like, I'll just try to make money with this. So like I have a huge history of Xbox, understanding the hardware of it and how to unlock it and all that kind of stuff. But coming back into PCs, it just made way more sense in the line of work that I'm in now, like with editing and all that kind of stuff.
Sure.
And when I started seeing games now starting to come more like, blending the line between console and PC, just made more sense.
Yeah.
And like I've always been into PCs as well. Like I've always been like a network administrator in the network engineering area. So I've always been setting up, companies and offices with PCs. So I know them in and out. I build them in my spare time, that kind of stuff. So yeah, like, I don't know. I just had to make the move. And now that my favorite games are cross-platform, I can play with all my friends on Xbox, PlayStation, or PC. Like, I think it's great, honestly. It doesn't bother me. Some people say that consoles have like a little bit of an aim, bot added in and stuff, but I don't know. I don't think it's enough to make them win the game.
Yeah, they're only using their thumbs. I mean, come on.
They're not using their free range of motion.
Yeah, come on. We've got all these little things you can do.
All right. Well, thanks for that discussion on Warzone. That's going to be it for our first half. On our second half, we're going to check back in on the new Xbox and PS5 specs and talk a little bit about the Series X gameplay that was released. So stick with us.
Hi, Allison here for a sec, and I just wanted to say thanks for your support of the GameBrew Podcast. If you enjoy listening to us babble, like and subscribe to keep up with our episodes on your favorite podcasting app, or our social media, the usuals, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, whatever you prefer. And as a member of our GameBrew crew, we'd love to chat with you and build our gaming community on our Discord, where we hang out, play games, swap turnip prices. So come chill with us in the Discord at bit.ly/discobrew. Throw us some topic submissions there or at thegamebrew@gmail.com because we're boring without you. All right, I'm done. Back to the episode now. Enjoy!
Hello and welcome back to the second half of the GameBrew Podcast, episode 81. Chris, how is your beverage treating? Are you on a new beverage? Is that a new can?
I mean, I've been drinking a bunch of beer. I don't know. So this one's 8 days a week. Like that Beatles song. You might have heard it.
That's as much as we can do.
I love
It's a
Led
Blondale.
Zeppelin.
Yeah. The Rolling Stones are great. Actually, I have opinions on the Rolling Stones. We don't want to get into that here.
That's a whole different podcast.
Whole different podcast.
It's the Dan and Chris show.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fine. I'm like I used to really like blonde ales. I guess this is the part where it's a lot of things where I used to like these things and I don't like them as much.
Oh no, Chris, it's not the same. You can never go home, you know?
Can't go home.
I mean, it's
again.
pretty good. I like it. I think it's better than Guinness Blonde. Not that that's like the super high bar, but
Oh, wow. Yeah, Guinness does one thing well, and they should probably
sorry,
say
However, Guinness,
No,
if
no,
you'd
they-
like to sponsor us, we love your stuff.
Guinness near me has like a ton of different beers and they're really good. But I don't know. Guinness Blonde is just kind of
it's very meh.
it's meh.
I'm still drinking this all-day IPA, and I could drink it all day. 'Cause
All day?
It's the all-day IPA.
Is that Founders?
It is Founders.
Dude.
And I find it to be quite drinkable.
It is.
You found it to be quite
Yes.
drinkable.
Thank you, Will, for catching on to that part.
Wow.
Founders.
Wow.
Sam, are you still working your way through that Smirnoff Ice? Like, did you manage to get halfway through yet, or?
It didn't even last a minute. Honestly. I'm down to another can of Dr. Pepper now.
I mean, it's basically the same. Lots of sugar.
Yeah, pretty much.
Lots of sugar.
Dr. Pepper is a weird story. It's like
Dr. Pepper's the best story. I love Dr. Pepper.
It's the thing that doesn't taste like anything. It's the first
tastes
truly
like everything.
synthetic flavor. Is
It
kind
is
of its
so
thing.
good.
Is it
It's
really?
got 23 flavors.
Well, yeah,
Got
because
23, yeah.
so
So you
Dr.
can't taste individuals.
Yeah, and the recipe, like, it doesn't really taste like.
Is this a
any-
Game Brew fact?
It's the first
It's a real
soda.
fact.
It's the first soda that wasn't like a fruit or a cola, which is like a specific kind of flavor. It's just
Right, 'cause it
Dr.
has-
Pepper.
It has fruit in it, cherry taste.
no, there's a
but it
Dr.
also
Pepper
has
cherry.
Cola. Yeah, but like,
I've recently got the Dr. Pepper cream soda, and it is
Oh,
quite
that's good.
It is good.
is it?
I didn't know
I've
that
never
was
had that. Yeah.
Guys, are we doing a soda cast right now?
Yeah, what just happened?
to the GameBrew Soda Cast. We're here with
It's so good. Though.
Guys,
a
the
hard
Game Brew
left.
Soda Cast could be a family show. Oh my
It
god!
could be.
We should do a family
but,
episode anyway.
but it's probably not.
It's probably not.
It still has us, so I doubt it will be.
Okay, anybody else want to shout out about drinks, or should we move straight on to the juicy stuff?
I just want to update you on the Dan's drinking an 11%
Yep,
beer.
yep.
I'm almost done this big ass bottle, and I'm Fun Dan now.
Okay.
just so you're aware.
Fun Dan.
I'm a
Welcome,
fan
Fun
of
Dan.
Fun Dan.
Fun
What's your
Dan.
Instagram? I'll slide into those DMs right now.
No, it's like I get so many comments. Oh, this is such a sidetrack. We'll cut this. I get so many comments about
No,
our
we're not.
episode where Dan does car bombs, Irish car bombs for the whole episode, and it's just like toasted on the
I
second
did.
half.
I did 6 Irish car bombs. Excuse
car
me.
bombs?
I did 6 Irish car bombs in like an hour and a half, and it was. I do not recommend it. Just
I got so many comments about how hilarious you
Game
were
Brew Hall
and
of Fame.
how they aren't sure you were alive at the end. But yeah, anyway.
I will never be that funny ever again because that was painful the next day. So much personal time with my toilet on that next day.
So what's our second half about?
All right, we don't need to go quite there. So instead, we're going to talk about the new specs that we've gotten for the two new big consoles that are coming out at the end of this year, the Xbox Series X
Hopefully.
and the PS5, of course. Yes, of course, hoping that COVID doesn't bump these releases back. And I'm looking at them, and there's a lot of things here that I don't understand. So Sammit and Chris are going to help me through this a little bit. Let's go first to the Xbox Series X. Looking at it, like, I feel okay about the CPU and GPU. I don't feel great about them, and that scares me.
Stop. You skipped a whole bunch. What do you think about aesthetically looking at it first?
Oh, I could
Look at the outside
I could
first.
give a shit less about what it looks like. To be perfectly honest.
I like
It
what,
looks okay.
I
but-
like
but-
what they're
but
doing with
what
it.
it looks like is an alien's cheese grater. Is what the Xbox Series X looks like.
No,
to me.
that
That's what it
is
looks like.
that is the MacBook. That's the Mac.
That's
Pro.
the Mac. That's the new MacBook.
It's the new trash can, yeah.
So from what I've heard, the reason they built it that way was to help cool it.
Yep.
That doesn't make sense to me.
Makes sense.
Well,
I-
it's like they've been trying to get people to stand consoles up forever, and now they're like, this one just stands up.
Yeah, it definitely feels like that. Like, do you remember the 360? Like, they always
Right.
like advertised it standing upright.
Yep.
I mean, I
Whoever
did that
actually
some.
But how?
I mean,
how
it doesn't
specifically
bother
does
me, but
this
like it's
shape?
kind of weird because a lot of people have like home theater center things that like need things kind of
Yeah,
in
it
a
goes
certain
sideways.
space.
Kinda. Yeah.
And this doesn't seem. I mean, I assume it can do that, but like it's kind of weird. Yeah.
I really like what Microsoft is doing with the Series X. It's like that is something I would gladly have in my living room. You know, like I'm gonna have a console in the living room, and that's a little more aesthetically pleasing, a little more artistic, a little more.
Alexa.
Zhuzhed up.
Insert that
Je
word
ne sais
here.
quoi.
Zhuzhed.
You know,
Yeah, I can see that.
and I would gladly have that, proudly displayed under the TV on the wall. You know,
Not sure. I mean, it's basically just a big a rectangle.
Well, yeah.
Well, they're always
It's
rectangles.
different.
It's just
You
a
look
different
at it and you're like, oh,
Sorry,
like
that
it
was bad.
blends in. It's like one of those things from Amazon that I don't want to say the word, so I don't set everybody's off. It's just like there.
Alexa.
And oh, you ass.
It does. It looks like it looks like Alexa, and I don't know. It's not pretty to me. It's not something I want to show off. Like I get collector's edition consoles, and I don't know what they would do to make that prettier for me. Like I have the R2D2 360, and how are they going to make anything cool out of that? In my opinion, I don't know. I don't see it. It's whatever to me. The PS5 is too thin, and that is too much of a building block. I just don't like either of them. I don't
Just
like
make
either
it
of them.
gray, put the Gears of War symbol on it, and boom, Xbox.
Oh.
Boom.
All right.
I'll just get
I
a
mean,
decal.
it's made for skinning for sure.
All right, let's talk specs, because as much as we like to make fun of the outside of that lime juicer, I do want to talk about the internal. So CPU, an 8X Zen 2, or 8X Zen? I can't even read these, is how complicated these things.
So it's a 8-core, 16-thread Zen 2 processor. It's basically a 3700X, is what it is. Which is a solid CPU. It's going to make it so I think a lot of computers, like PC players, are going to have to upgrade.
Yeah, it definitely feels like Microsoft's going after, like, you know how the whole PC gaming thing, like it's like they've built a small form factor like gaming computer.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Specs for sure.
Definitely.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Does Chris and Sam, does the GPU impress, or are we kind of like, it's all right?
As far as consoles go, I think it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, so the current generation, the original Xbox One and the PS4 were kind of middle of the road GPUs when they came out, and so that's why they're kind of lagging behind so far right now.
Yeah.
This is like a $400 GPU.
Well, yeah.
It's basically a 5700 XT with a little more on top.
So I guess that brings up my next question. When you're packing this kind of hardware into the Series X, we start to worry about a price point, right? Because this is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the Series X is kind of Microsoft's launch flagship new Xbox. There will be a base model for this. But this is the one that they're heavily promoting right now, and I worry that when people see the price tag for this, since it's been the one that we've been hearing about the most, people are going to start running for the hills.
I guess, why would you buy this console and not make a gaming computer at this point? With what the price point may be.
So the price point probably, from what I can guesstimate, because I am but a man. What can I say?
What a man you are!
Thank you. I do have a mustache now.
No, that mustache makes you no man.
But is probably going to be around $600. Like
That's what I would guess.
Easily.
And I would expect that's going to be sold at a loss.
Yeah, I mean,
I agree.
I mean, definitely. But I mean, the amount of people who are going to get it, I would imagine they won't suffer too hard from that. But $600 for a decent high-end gaming computer is freaking amazing. Like,
I tried to build something similar to this out real quick on PC Part Picker before this episode.
Yeah.
And it came out to about a little over $1,000.
Yeah.
Huh.
It's exciting to see that this is probably the first console I've seen where they've actually got decent storage space. Can we just appreciate that?
Yeah,
when
that's-
it actually comes.
it's like 1 terabyte solid
What's
state
funny is
drive.
a terabyte really... I mean, if you're thinking about, not all of that terabyte's going to be usable because of operating system.
Because the
B,
OS.
like you have games
Those
like
games are
Warzone
massive.
that are
Warzone,
almost
yeah.
200 gigs.
Yeah.
That's
true.
one game. You might be able to get
my
5
gosh.
games.
How big are we don't know how big next gen games are going to be either.
It's nuts.
That's true.
Well, I mean, honestly, I'm not a person who's real concerned about hard drive space. I don't feel the need
I
to
always
have
am.
all of my games currently be like I don't feel the need to have all of them right at my fingertips. I'm okay to wait for a download.
yeah.
The other thing that really caught my eye was when I was looking at it, we're still looking at HDMI 2.1 outputs, which, correct me if I'm wrong again, but I believe those cap out at about 120 hertz refresh rate.
Yeah, yeah. So
I
it's
mean-
only got 120 frames per second support.
Right. It's not going to push up into that super ultra buttery 140, 160 refresh.
But I
There's-
watched this
there's-
really good video on it where they broke down the two differences and got like they actually used Shroud as an example and made him go between all the different monitors, and he couldn't notice a difference between the 120 and 144.
Really?
Yeah,
So is
that's
it
what I was
really
going to say.
worth
Is
it?
that 120 and 144 is not going to have a difference.
They're so-
B, TVs aren't going to support 144
Exactly.
anyways.
Yeah, that's gonna be
So yeah, they're gonna go to the mean basically there. But I also doubt there's going to be a lot of games that are going to be pushing 120 frames per second at 4K. I would expect most of them will do 60, but there's going to be exceptions. Like I think I read that Ubisoft is saying that Assassin's Creed Valhalla is going to only be at 30.
Whoa! What?
Wow.
It's going to be.
I mean,
Yikes.
if you've played Origins or Odyssey on PC, you know it's pretty graphics intensive, and
Yeah.
I don't know, it doesn't do great, but
Yeah.
like it looks
It's a
beautiful.
lot of stuff.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that for a lot of people, especially if they're chasing the PC community, having a lock at 30 frames is can be a.
This isn't for the PC community.
Well, I agree with you. Like obviously it's a console. On the other hand, they really are leaning into the sort of like marriage of PC and console gaming as like a single sort of in between, and having a 30 frame lock, even though it does make sense for a game, I think is going to alienate some people in the PC community.
I would think that they are going to build in some controls for that so that you can tone it down and get your frames back.
There's some games with I know with the PS4 Pro, they made it so you could kind of choose.
As like a person who was a die-hard console person, and I was all about that. I wasn't a big PC gamer because I just couldn't afford a good PC, so I was playing on like a really crappy computer. The thing about consoles were they were cost-effective for me to do what I wanted, play what I wanted, and play with my friends, and it was a good time. Now I'm a PC gamer, and I do have this really nice PC that I'm able to play games on. And from my standpoint, as somebody who has bought almost every single console day one, I don't think I'm going to buy these.
You don't
What?
need to. You don't
Yeah.
need to.
You don't
I don't
need to
need
because
to.
you have something that does the same thing.
The price point isn't cost effective for me, and I have a computer that's going to do the same thing. So they're not reaching for me clearly
No.
here.
No, Will, what were you going to say?
I was going to ask Allison actually if there are not any of those exclusives for either console that are going to pull you in, because they're most
Not
definitely
immediately.
are
That's
for me.
different. That's a different.
Not day
conversation.
one. Not day one.
Not day one.
Not
There's
day one.
nothing
I don't
to wait.
care.
So you're
I don't
gonna
care
wait.
enough.
Okay.
I'm gonna wait.
So you're gonna maybe get them eventually, but you're not motivated to get it right away.
Eventually, when I have the extra money, sure, but at least $600 easy for these. At least, maybe more,
think so.
considering where the parts may be.
I think
this
it'll be.
point.
Yeah, I
six.
mean, it depends
I agree
on,
with
like-
Dan.
I mean, it depends on like the current. I mean, I hate
Yeah,
to say it,
so
but like the current situation, it's
market-
like who knows what's going to happen to market
That's
prices
going
for
to demand
these.
the price, and maybe
Yeah.
these don't even release this year because of it. But the reality is, like, I think, and I know we haven't even talked about the PS5 specs yet, but
Yeah.
Xbox to PS5, Xbox is the clear winner for me, purely based on specs. I think they both look like shit. So it doesn't matter to me.
Why? they do not look like shit for the
think
price.
I mean,
they're
they
gonna
look
be,
for
they're going to be a
consoles,
great buy for the price.
for consoles. They
No,
look
I mean,
really,
their
really good.
visual. Their visual to me is nothing. So that means nothing. So I'm purely looking at specs. And out of the specs, the Xbox wins. So if I go to buy my console, I'm probably buying the Xbox unless the PS5 has more exclusives, but at the end of the day, I'm going to want to play. Because Microsoft will probably release a lot of their stuff for PC, and I'll play it there anyway. So I don't know. It's tough.
And this kind of calls into a different conversation that we can have at some point, which is where console exclusivity and like the exclusive games is kind of going out the window. Like there's not a whole lot of them left. Like pretty much everyone's kind of either doing this cross-play thing, or even if they are console exclusives, they're kind of leaving and going to multiple platforms anyway, just because it's financially it's better for these companies to do that.
Even developed games, but like Horizon Zero Dawn came to PC,
right? Yeah, because
which was
it's like
a very big PS4 exclusive.
So the other big thing with the Xbox Series X is, and this is the big thing between Series X and PS5 too, is the emphasis on ray tracing. Are we excited about ray tracing actually, or is this just a marketing?
Oh, hell yeah, dude. Have you not seen ray tracing?
It's amazing.
It's cool,
It's pretty dope.
but is it as cool as everyone makes it out to be? Like, would anyone miss it if it weren't a thing?
I mean, once you see it, it's basically the coolest thing ever. Basically,
It is super cool.
So ray tracing, it's a rendering technique that produces like realistic lighting effects, and the difference between like playing something with ray tracing and playing something without ray tracing is nuts. Like once you've done it, you can't go back. It's so cool, and it just makes things so realistic looking while still avoiding that kind of uncanny valley you get with technology versus like non-technology images.
Yeah, I absolutely love it, like when I look at it, but I feel like its cost per performance, like value, is still way too like out of reach for a lot of people. Because like look at how much I don't know if you guys muck around with your graphics cards and all, but if you have like the RTX 2080 Ti or whatever,
Sure.
right? The moment you enable it, you lose like 30% of your card.
No way.
It's super intensive right now. In fact, like the 1080 Ti, if you don't have ray tracing turned on, is almost like comparative to the 2080. Just because of I can't remember how they did it, but they somehow divided the cores to only work with like ray tracing and that type of job. So like you can almost put the two cards side by side, and if you don't use ray tracing, they're identical.
Yeah, so I do have a 1080 Ti, and it's basically on par for this whole time. And it's the 2080's been around for, has it been 1-2 years now? And I have no need to upgrade it. Like it's still top of the line.
It's great.
I run a 1080 Ti too. I don't have any. Actually, my first computer that has ray tracing is this laptop I'm on right now. I got one of those really nice fancy Razors, and it's got a built-in RTX 2060.
Nice.
I played around with it. Looks sick.
That's awesome. And I mean, the 1080 Ti, they did enable it on it, but like it's bad at it.
Does that lean you to the Xbox then, since the PS5 doesn't have it?
Well, I believe they both should.
I think Xbox totes it, like they say, oh, we can do ray tracing, but the PS5 is like, oh yeah, it's just that you can do it.
Okay, I didn't think
I mean,
they did.
in all honesty, like they're very similar spec wise. Like
True.
Looking at them, the Xbox definitely has an edge, which is interesting because in the current generation between the Xbox One and the PS4 had the edge.
I feel like it is numbers wise, but one of the things, and I don't remember where I saw this, and it makes sense, and you all might know a little bit better. The PS5 more than doubles the raw throughput for, I believe it's graphics, if I'm not mistaken, for the GPU for that, and the raw is like a huge deal.
What I've heard is that the big thing that PS5 is touting is the advantage of this custom NVMe SSD that they have online, so that they did an example of basically a load screen from Spider-Man on PS4 versus PS5. With this, it was like less than a second, or like a couple seconds, if that.
Well, how does that translate to working with graphics? You know, does higher raw data throughput translate to the GPU handling a workload faster? Is this a GPU
No, but
that can do it faster?
It basically, so whenever you see a tight like you're trying to squeeze through something in a video game, or an elevator, or like going up and down stairs, that is basically a loading screen. It's not advertised as a loading screen, but it is a loading screen. So basically they're trying to eliminate that, and that's might be something that could be considered a higher graphic fidelity. But like I would be shocked if Sony came up with a way to make their hardware more so efficient that it was better looking than what Xbox is doing, because their hardware is not as good. They basically have a lesser GPU that is clocked higher.
I wonder also if part of the difference between the two platforms that we're seeing is that we're seeing, sort of like a release, but like a higher tier level release with the Series X. And for the PS5, we're seeing like the base level, what PlayStation is going to release. Is it possible that PS5 releases this season with current advertised specs, and then we get a PS5 Plus in December 2021 that like blows the Series X out of the water? I think it would be an interesting play for PlayStation to wait for Xbox to tip their hand and then to basically one-up them a year later.
I haven't really paid too much attention to PlayStation in a long time, but I know in the Xbox industry, like when it came to releasing specs, like, yeah, they had the Elite version and stuff, but the CPU and the GPU remained the same. It was mainly just hard drive space that they changed around.
Yeah, but forgive me if I'm wrong, but that did change with the Xbox One versus the Xbox One S. Like the newest version of Xbox One that they dropped actually has a better processor in it than
but that's an entirely new release.
It's true, but that's also kind of the world that we're in, where it's that they release a console and it has that title, right? Because that's the Xbox One, and then they have the Xbox One S, they have the Xbox One X, and they have the Xbox One original editions, which are, crap compared to the Xbox One S versus the Xbox One X.
They're like Half-Life consoles almost, where
right.
they're like, this is halfway through. Let's do something else to get people who haven't bought it yet to buy it.
Yeah,
right.
That's kind of the plan.
Right, and that's kind of where Xbox has this. They have the Microsoft money. I'm sorry to say that, but that's like they can kind of say like, oh, we made things better, aka we added a different processor, we added different hard drives. Whereas
The
PlayStation, with PlayStation, they have for their consoles, they have PlayStation. Like that's it. Like they have the PlayStation 5, which is going to come out. And it's going to be the PlayStation 5. And then that's going to be good for a while, and then maybe they'll come out with something else later. But it's about what, and I think that's kind of what PlayStation's kind of toting, is they're saying our console is going to be good for a while. You're going to buy it, and it's going to be this for a while, and then and it's going to be okay. Whereas Xbox is like, this is going to be great right away, but we're going to add some other stuff later that's going to make it better.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that Xbox has kind of two consoles they're coming out with at the same time. One that's kind of more of a generic thing that's kind of your intro to console gaming, and then something a little more elite and
a little more fancy.
It fits what kind of they've done with the Xbox One X and all that. Mm-hmm. But I think they're just trying to get their stuff in front of as many people as possible, and it makes sense.
Yeah, they touted as an entertainment system, kind of like Nintendo did originally, where it's like, this is an entertainment system, not a video game console. You can use it for whatever you're going to use it for. Not. And
I honestly kind of like that. My Xbox One is basically just Netflix and Hulu and
it's a Hulu
HBO machine at this point. So
I gotta watch Rick and Morty. Gotta turn on my Xbox,
which the PS5 is terrible at. Just to or
true.
PS4.
It's
I don't like the interface as much on PS4.
It's so bad.
All right, so we also got some Xbox Series X stuff video that was labeled as gameplay that turned out to be a lot more of like game trailers than gameplay itself. And I just wanted to hit on a couple of those. Of course, we saw.
I think it's important to just put this out there that none of it was labeled as gameplay. It was all labeled as game and console in development. In-engine footage representative of expected Xbox Series X visual quality.
Which basically means we're not making any promises, but here's some pre-rendered stuff.
This is more
for you
than
to
likely.
watch.
It's more than likely going to look kind of like this. We don't know.
Just squint.
Which is like I really honestly wish they had the timing a little bit more nailed down on that, where they could actually show some stuff that was actually rendered by the unit. I think that was probably a big disappointment for some people. And then also, and correct me if I'm wrong on this too, but a lot of that was marketed as it was going to be gameplay. We're going to see the first gameplay from Xbox Series X, and instead what we got was a lot of
trailers.
Trailers.
Was the Assassin's Creed Valhalla part of that?
Yep.
Yeah, I was pretty disappointed when I clicked on that gameplay video and I did not see gameplay.
Yeah, it was about less than a minute of just trailer content for Valhalla.
There's like sweet action shots.
Yeah. Sam, did you see any of the Dirt 5 stuff? Is that where your interests may lie?
I saw. I'm pretty sure I watched the video that you were referring to. I thought it was pretty good, coming from haven't really been playing much Xbox since the Xbox One days, since I got my PC. I was pretty impressed with it, but yeah, I don't know. I'm really keen to just get my hands on the console and some of those early releases and see what it's going to be like.
Yeah.
I think that's where we all are right now, is where it's like whatever they release, it's not going to be. We don't know what it's going to be still. Like everything is still speculative. Like until they actually say we are playing this on an Xbox, here it is.
And it's always so hard to tell what the final product's going to look like in your lounge room on your TV.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah. Because I've done that before. Like, you look at something on the computer and you get all hyped and you take it home, and then only to find out your TV's not going to support it.
Yeah.
I recently, my TV stopped working, so I had to buy a new one in this day and time, which is great. I loved having to do that. But also my TV was 15 years old, so going from something that was like, oh yeah, it's an HD TV, to something that's like, oh yeah, this is 4K UHD. And I was like, I don't know if that's different. And then I was like, oh my gosh, I watched this movie from 2006 and it was fantastic.
It's different when it counts. That's when you'll notice it.
Was anybody excited by any of those trailers? I mean, we talked about Valhalla being a little bit of a letdown, but there was a bunch of cool stuff.
I'm excited with the concept.
Yeah, but did any of like the concepts of those games grab you? Personally, like I'm totally hyped to play Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2.
Oh, you
just
would
because
be.
I'm a Vampire the Masquerade person. But
yeah, you are.
Honestly, watching that trailer made me more excited for that game. I didn't have any opinion on it. And when I looked at it, I'm like, ooh, this could be interesting. I think I'm in for trying this. So that one got me a little hyped. But...
Yeah, and Allison, we should do some Vampire the Masquerade tabletop stuff since we're in quarantine. And fuck it.
I'm sorry, what, you want to do some tabletop stuff? Is that what you said?
Yeah. Dan, you might have to deal with me as the lead on that, though.
Oh, I'm okay with that. I DM too many things. I'm honestly excited for. There's something called The Medium, which is by Bloober Team.
Okay.
Bloober Team is the people who did the Blair Witch games. They did the Layers of Fear games, which I really love, and it has Akira Yamaoka, who is the composer of the Silent Hill games, is going to be involved. Like he's doing the soundtrack for it, so I'm excited as hell for that stuff.
I think the biggest game that I'm pumped about, I mean, this is probably the reason why everyone initially first bought an Xbox, is for the Halo game.
Oh, heck yeah.
The new Infinite.
It's true.
I'm pretty keen for that.
I just want to know, like, I need more. Like, they need to give us something.
I want it to be good. I want it to be good. I don't want to be disappointed, so it's hard for me to be excited about that game, I guess. Yeah. We'll see.
I know the feeling. It's so hard, like, coming from Halo 3 days and then everything else after that, especially now that Bungie's not involved.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Ugh.
It's a little bitter taste in a way, but I want it to be good. I want it to be good. I'm pulling for it. Don't do me wrong.
I don't know if the trailer kind of harkens back to an OG Master Chief kind of feel,
Right.
which is
well,
good.
that's why I'm a little pumped, but I hope it's not smoke and mirrors. Like,
I know none of you could see that, but she did this dance, the little
it's a-
pump dance.
it's not a visual medium. Nobody can see what I'm doing.
Everyone here played the last one, right? Like, I don't want to spoil any spoilers for anyone.
Oh, wait, the last Halo 5 is the one we're talking about, or no?
I don't know, the one where Cortana rampages.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
Halo 5.
she goes nuts.
That's Halo 5.
Yeah, cool. I just hope that somehow, like, the way they ended that game, it just, like, trying to figure out what was going on if there was any hope left and stuff like that. I don't know, it's weird because Cortana was such a big part of, the initial games and everything to know what's going to end up happening there. So I hope they somehow give you some closure on that in this next one. But
that would be nice. Honestly, Cortana was the more in-depth character than Master Chief, right? She was the one who was delivering all of the background and all of the witty quips, and he was always like, "Huh." Like he basically didn't talk.
It was like Link. Like
yeah.
Blank canvas because you're playing it kind of vibe.
Or
I feel like you definitely got way more emotion out of Cortana than the actual Master Chief character, right?
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Even though she was a computer.
I know. I was just like the irony in that's kind of funny.
It's where everyone's love of robots started.
I love robots.
Yeah,
robots, you guys.
Dan, we love robots too. At least one robot.
I'm not a murder robot. Stop insinuating.
All right, well, I think that's going to be it for us this week. Sammit, thank you so much for being here.
Yay,
No worries.
thank you.
Yeah,
Putting up
thank
with us.
you. I'm going to clap for you. I'm gonna clap.
Definitely,
Thank you.
definitely go find him and subscribe to him on YouTube if you want to see some really cool drifting videos. And you can also check out his content on Twitch. Same screen name, Sammit, yes?
Damn it, Sammit.
Damn it, Sam.
I'll link everything.
Wait, is it
I'll link everything.
DAMMIT SAMMIT?
It's on Twitch it's actually the N for damn.
Okay, so DAMNIT.
And then Sammit, SAMMIT.
Okay.
And if you want to tell us what you are most excited about with the new console releases, you can do that by adding the Game Brew on the social media or by sending us an email at thegamebrew@gmail.com or by joining our Discord at bit.ly/discobrew. And that's where we'll leave it for this evening. So say goodnight, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.